Kia ora mai anō. Less than 5% of the world's venture capital funding goes to female-led businesses and even less for wahine of colour. 5 men now have the same wealth as half the planet, that's 3.5 billion people. SheEO is an economic model created to benefit women-led ventures by offering interest-free loans and mentoring. SheEO held its summit this week in Auckland, where for the first time there were wahine Maori selected as recipients of these benefits. One of this country's leading businesswomen, Theresa Gattung, launched the New Zealand branch of SheEO in 2017 and is focused on lifting the numbers of wahine Maori who apply. Theresa Gattung is with us now. Morena, Theresa, thanks for joining us.
Morena.
It's been a while since we've spoken. Nice to have you here on the program. Every year, 5 women-led businesses are helped by SheEO. In the past, these recipients have been non-Maori. This past year has seen 3 wahine Maori-led businesses selected. Why were they chosen?
Well, Neil, in the beginning, through 2017 and 2018, I was really just focused on getting it going in New Zealand because I'd heard about it in North America, thought it could work really well here. And it was quite hard because no one knew it was such a different model. 500 women contributing $1,000, creating a fund that we would select the ventures who are led by women, owned by women, who are working on the world's to-do list of problems that could scale up, get the money as an interest-free loan that they would pay back. It was such a new idea. So in that first year, I was just really focused on getting women to activate and getting of Putia to actually lend out in the first place. And then we got into year 2, the sort of end of 2018, I realised, as did some of my other mates who got it going, that we were so white. And so I reached out to some of my Maori mates, from up north, Kiri Nathan from Kiri Maori, and I said, help me get out the wahine Maori woman, because we probably won't be able to get Maori women to apply to as ventures if they don't even know about it. And so that started a real push of me meeting with wahine Maori-led organisations and just getting more involved. And then Gina Love from Potama came on board, and that was fantastic. And she brought a lot of her mates and a lot of her mana. And so last year, what we had decided is that we would select at least one of the 5 ventures would be wahine Maori. As it turned out, in the top 10, there were many. And so we voted in 3 of the top 5 just because they were the best.
Right.
So it was a case of focus on inclusion, and then the best rises to the surface. And we were delighted that 3 of the 5 were wahine Maori.
I love that women like you are leading in this space and driving for women business innovation. The numbers aren't good, though, for wahine-led businesses, are they? Especially compared to men, and even less for Indigenous ones. What kinds of commitment does SheEO have to lifting wahine Māori into this space?
Well, first of all, that is now a standing commitment. We are never again going to have 5 white women on the audience. I mean, we already had diversity in different ways. We had very much geographical diversity in year 1. We had a lesbian couple. So we had diversity, but we didn't have diversity in terms of how best would reflect Aotearoa. So we'll never do that again. This is a permanent commitment to at least one of the 5 ventures each year. And now we want to broaden it out to other women of colour who aren't Maori, like Pacifica and Indian. We were underrepresented really in every category. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, since I started this, and since we've grown this kaupapa, we've seen a bit of a shift in New Zealand. For example, one of the Māori women from last year, Candice Pardee from Gisborne, Job Loads, is raising capital, and she did her first pre-seed round with the support from SheEO, so activators like me putting money in. We, through Kirsty Reynolds, who's very involved with that organisation, got her in touch with Icehouse Ventures, who then closed that round for her, and she'll be doing another round. And so what I see that I'm doing is helping to develop an ecosystem where all female entrepreneurs in New Zealand can go from early stage companies, which SheEO supports, through the pipeline that's there without recreating the wheel, but on an accelerated path to get capital and do it on their own terms, not have to do it on the 1,000-page pitch deck, the sort of the way that women have often in the past questioned about whether they can get their business started, because women start businesses to solve problems, and they don't therefore always start the sort of businesses that men in the past would have wanted to fund. So I'm like this is really my mahi now. This is a very big part of my life.
And totally understandable too, because this perpetuates confidence in other women too, doesn't it? Especially in that Indigenous space.
Absolutely. So we had the most glorious hui yesterday in Tamaki Makaurau, and it was inspiring, uplifting for all the women in the room. And Candace spoke, Kitty spoke, the third of what did Maori last year wasn't able to come yesterday. Michelle was unwell. But it was incredibly inspiring. And so what we'd like to do now is an invitation. We will be open again for ventures to apply at the end of May. So for all of June and into July, we'll be open. And we would like great Wahine Maori-led ventures to go to the website, SheEO.world. You just answer questions. You don't have to send a pitch deck. And to apply, because what we're trying to do is fund ventures, and the women pay back the loans regularly. So each year we loan out the money that we have from the women who activate each year and the repayments from the previous year, plus they get all the support from the network. And now we're trying to extend this kaupapa and support more ventures. And so we want matched funding from a bank, a big charitable foundation, the government, to loan out the money, not to give us money, but to match what we're doing.
And really, that's what SheEO is about, and that's sort of why you're driving this space. So more than half the world's population are women, yet women receive a little over 2% of the available capital. What, in your opinion, needs to be done to ensure the ledger is brought into balance and women are afforded the same opportunities as men?
Well, I do think government has to direct some funding to accelerate what's already happening. Not grants. I really believe in having skin in the game. At SheEO, we sponsor in women who couldn't afford to put in the $1,000.
Right.
They contribute something. Like, I really believe that if you don't have skin in the game, you're not totally committed. So that's one thing. The second thing is just starting to happen. For example, Icehouse Ventures last year launched a fund that will invest only in women-led businesses. So we have capital being deployed, and interestingly, into that fund, I contributed into that fund, of course, but 40% of the people who contributed into that fund were men. So first of all, it needs women of privilege like me, using our capital and our resources and our networks to help all women rise up, and it requires some men to actually put their money where their mouth is as well.
Yep. Love it. Theresa Gattung, thank you very much for your time this morning. Appreciate it.
Ngā mihi nui.
A devastating hit for Whakatane's economy yesterday with the announcement that its paper mill will close.